I guess you can tell them who we are
Uh,
if you
let's
remember.
see, who am I tonight?
I knew you'd forget who we are.
Right, I forget a number of things. Welcome to the Wild Bob Ronnie Show here on.
This is Wild Bob, and
yeah,
I'm Ronnie,
here on. I'm the good-looking one here on UG TV.
the goat farmer.
Right, said that right. I saw the goat herder heading home this afternoon.
What's going on, Bobby T?
Well, I don't know. I went down and had a little talk with our sheriff.
Yeah?
And explained to him that I did not like being made out to be #1 criminal in the nation because my goats got out.
Well, you know, it's getting to be a habit.
Well, I know that. They habitually make me the #1 criminal, you know. So is that what you're talking about, the habit? Yeah, okay. But we got everything straight. I told him, I said, look, don't you let the Animal Control Department handle that. I said, that's not a very good allocation of manpower or machinery to take a $40-some thousand automobile and probably a $50-some thousand personnel and put him on the goat patrol.
Well, do you think they could get a net around them goats' neck?
A net.
Yeah, that's what they catch
They
dogs
don't
with.
do anything with them at all. When they get there, they're back in. See, all my goats do, they get out, come along the fence.
Take a shortcut, don't they?
Yeah, well, they might pull a vine or something off the fence as they go along, but basically they're on my property and they go down the end of the fence, come back up the driveway, you know, when they're in the carport.
Well, that's where little girls have to walk when they go to the store, ain't it?
In the road, yeah. Yeah.
Good enough for little girls, good enough for goats.
No, I would think so. You know, if he wouldn't let little girls walk across his property, I don't see why in the world he would want to let little goats, you know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, man,
But the bad thing about, you know, when he shot Widow Betty's dog, is the reason the dog was down there was because his wife put scraps out there next to the edge of the field.
Yeah.
And then when they come down there and there wasn't no scraps around, they started nosing around looking for some, and they got a meal of pellet guns.
Yeah. Well, some people feel threatened by goats, I guess.
Right. Well, goats, you know, just no place in civilized society for goats. I don't know.
I've noticed that. So what else going on? Got your Christmas tree up?
We got one up.
Have you? Is it for sale? Is it still for sale?
Yeah, I got some up here for sale. Yeah, we've got a Christmas tree up, and I don't know, just can't decide what to buy for my goats.
Well, if it's hogs, you get them bagels, but I don't know about
price
goats.
of corn, the way Obama's got the price of corn, you can't hardly afford to feed them corn.
Are goats kosher?
What?
Are goats kosher?
I don't know what they're kosher. Yeah, they're kosher. They're naturally kosher, yeah.
Well, you have to feed them bagels then. Now, we don't want a little pollution going on
feed
there.
them a good diet of baby, because, you know, they like bread. I gave them some old bread the other day.
Yeah.
And,
I went out this morning, there's 4 pieces of bread, stale bread.
Right.
I give one each to my dogs and one each to my goats, and everybody left happy.
How about that? Yeah, well, that's about it, you know. My goats, I worked on that fence Saturday for several hours, and I got ready to come to town. They were out before I got to the end of the driveway. So they're pretty smart. And,
Well, it don't take too smart a goat to outsmart some people.
I worked on it Sunday, and they're still walking around exploring the possibilities of getting out. So they'll probably find a chink in my armor somewhere, and
I'd say they will.
they'll probably be waiting in the carport for me when I get home.
I'm going to get me a portable fence for next summer so I can just mow around in different places.
Right. You can do that.
I figure I'll get me about 4 old car wheels and maybe put a pole on each one of them
Right.
and run me a double electric fence around
Right.
it.
Well, you know, they make a portable electric fence.
How are they made? I might just buy one.
Well, they're not all that unreasonable. They're made mainly for chickens, but they're 5 foot high, and
Chickens don't know they can fly, I guess.
Well, I had some guineas that forgot how to fly, but they're portable, and the entire fence is electrified. Not just the strand, but the entire fence. It's a woven wire fence, and the whole thing is electrified. So I'll show you some pictures of it.
I could do that.
Look up your portable electric fence.
Portable electric net.
Yeah, but I told you I had some guineas that would come flying around the house as high as the gutters. And they get to the fence, they'd light on the ground before they got to the fence and wait for me to open the gate and let them in. They couldn't fly over the fence, you know, they'd fly right at the base of the fence and sit there and make all those strange noises, and I'd have to go open the gate and let them in. They'd forget how to fly. So,
that don't look like that'd be. Let's see.
Yeah.
34-inch, 42 inch. I wonder how long they are. 4 by 6 inch electric mesh. Quick relocate the fence.
They got 34 or 42 inch fence.
And they don't tell me how big the fence is. There's one for chickens. Well, you know, I've got the wire. I could do that.
Right.
I've got some mesh wire.
Right.
I could do that.
Sure, all you gotta do is insulate it. Don't need the end.
Well, what I can do is get me 4 pieces of PVC and mount them on them there. Fix them so I can. What I do is put something on the rim, stick up, and then drop the PVC down over it, so I wouldn't have to carry the wheel around. I could roll it.
Right.
And then I could stretch my wire around it and take me a battery-operated electric fence, and I could just mold. I got all the weeds out.
Have you got a battery-operated unit?
No.
I got one.
But I can use an extension cord for where I was going to mow, come to think of it.
Oh, okay.
I just want to.
You're not like the guy that mowed all the yards in his subdivision with his electric mower, and it only took somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.30 in electricity to mow everybody's yard in that subdivision.
How much did the cords cost?
Well, it cost him $7,000 for the cord.
Well, we had an electric car one time we built. We was going to drive it to from New York to California, and we figured back then electricity cheap. We figured we could drive it for about $13.
Right.
But we got to figuring out the cord, and we couldn't come up with $2 million, so we let it go. That's another world record. Just got right by us.
That's the way it goes. So you know they're planning to do so many wonderful things with solar power. But you know, their main emphasis is not on how to use solar power, but to how to conserve the use of it. So you have enough to go around and do what you need to do. So if you go on the solar panels, then you've got to have sufficient number of batteries to store, and you got to hope the sun shines.
Well, it's where you're at. I don't believe in the next 50 years, if not longer, that solar power will ever be economical, be cost effective in this area. Now, if you're out in the desert southwest, you might be seeing some benefits now.
We take today, I just wonder, you know...
I ain't seen the sunshine in 3 days.
That's what I'm saying. Just wonder exactly how much power they're generating.
Not much. You know as well as I do, that was a scam from day one.
Oh, I'm sure of that, you know. Of course, they'll blame it on global warming.
Yeah, that's what it was.
You know, if it doesn't make any money, they'll blame it on some natural catastrophe. And
Maybe even an unnatural catastrophe like
might a good
like
earthquake.
Al Gore. He's an unnatural
Right.
catastrophe.
He was a natural catastrophe in himself.
Well, he let his woman get away from him after she decided he wasn't going to ever be president. She dumped him.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't have stayed with him that long. I mean, it wouldn't took me that long to figure out I didn't want to be that guy. Then I wasn't too crazy about her either.
Right.
Oh well, I guess man could make $500 million on a scam that's legal.
Right.
That's what the global warming thing is supposed to have made him. $500 million.
Right.
That's a pretty good piece of change.
Just about real money.
Yeah, you're a billionaire, pretty soon. Oh well. What do you think? I read something about Amazon was going to start delivering packages with drones. Do you think that was just something for the holiday season to get people talking about Amazon? Because I just can't see that being practical. I mean,
aerial drones.
Yeah, they could fly them there, but what are you going to do when you get there? You're going to drop a man's television on his house, or you fly it in the front door and cut his woman's head off, or what do you do?
I didn't read the article. Are they not flying them into an airport for to live normal?
No. They're talking about if you live within 10 miles of a distribution point, they'd just tie your package on the bottom of one of these here butterflies and send it out there. An octocopter is 8 wings, fan blade on top, and fly it out there and deliver it just directly from the warehouse to you. But I can't see that happening. I mean, the GPS equipment might get it there, but what do you do with it? You can't just drop it. Nobody signs for it. Maybe you take pictures that you've delivered it, but the guy says, I didn't get it. I didn't know it was in the yard.
Right.
I think it's just a publicity deal.
Right, I think
it would be possible to send it to somebody that was sitting there waiting on it, maybe,
right,
and let them catch it.
Yeah.
But my luck, they'd bring my widescreen television and I'd catch it.
Yeah. That'd probably they probably would have a limit on the size anyhow,
Yeah, but I just can't see that happening.
No, I don't think so.
I don't believe that's going to work. You know what's the fastest way? If you had to, well, for instance, which would be faster to deliver information? Would you say that it would be mailman or maybe a online deal by computer or telephone or by wire, or maybe one of them pneumatic tubes like they've got at the bank? What's the best way most efficient way to deliver information? Fastest way?
What are you talking about? Deliver it to a big bunch
Well, from
of
one
people?
place to another. Just direct from one place to another.
I think fiber optic.
Well, you'd think wrong. You know what would be the fastest?
What?
Pneumatic tube.
Possibly.
And for this reason,
Nah.
you can pack a whole bunch of stuff on a disc, and you can fill that thing full of discs and send it from here over yonder, and they got all that information that quick. That's the fastest way to send information. But you can't build a tube to everywhere.
Can't you use fiber optic and fiber optic carries thousands of messages going both ways and through one another and everything else, and
it's not possible.
It travels at the speed of light.
Well, it may do it, but you just can't get that much information that quick. I can hand you a disc here that's got
You have to realize somebody's going to have to make that disc.
Well, no, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the exchange information. I can get a hard drive right now that'll hold a terabyte of information for about $100.
Okay.
And I can fill it full of stuff and hand it to you. And there ain't no way you can send that information to anybody else. Everything's on there as fast as I just send it to you.
Right.
Unless you hand it to somebody else.
Right. Okay.
The reason I know that was a trick question on a college exam one time. Professor asked him what would be the fastest way, and then he put a pneumatic tube, and they thought that was a joke. And they when it was all said and done, he said, "No, if some of you said, this is some time back, said we could put it on DVDs.
Well, you take
CD.
a pneumatic tube has a certain speed that objects within it travel.
Well, no, but the size of the object, what I'm saying, I can send a disc through that thing, and it don't get there real fast, but it takes all that information at once, and you can't do that through a wire or a fiber optic or laser or nothing else. It takes time to get it from here to there.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, you got to stream it. The other way, you just hand it over in a chunk.
Right.
And that information was free, and it didn't manage to accomplish a thing with it.
Of course, those vacuum tubes aren't exactly free. Let me tell you about a vacuum tube. The banks have them not only on tellers, but
vacuum tubes? Oh, you're talking about them. I thought you were talking about a vacuum tube like we used to have in the television.
No.
That's a vacuum tube.
No,
Lee DeForest.
I'm talking about the vacuum system they had to transfer your little things into the teller and back, which they still use them. Well, I had a friend who managed branch bank down on Lewis Street in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And they had an outside drive-by window. It was a separate little building where they could drive by on both sides. There's a very, very busy place on Fridays, cashing payroll checks, that sort of thing. And he was the manager of the bank, and he would always have to help them verify their drawers, their cash that they had,
I try to verify my drawers at least once a day.
I always enjoyed getting them tellers let me verify their drawers, but so we were going to go to the beach, and I was teaching school, and I got off like about 3 o'clock, and so I was up there urging him to go ahead and get closed up and let's go to the beach.
Okay.
So they were having a little trouble balancing out in the drive-in, so he went out there to help them balance up, and trying to be in a hurry rather than carrying the silver in, he packed one of them tubes and sent it in.
Uh-oh.
And he got hung somewhere right between the middle of the drive-in branch and the main office. And we were there to that night with a backhoe digging that thing out. So we didn't get to go to the beach.
Couldn't you run a snake through it and pushed it or something?
No, they had us bring a backhoe in there. There was a concrete pad over it, and busted up all that concrete and dug that thing up.
And I would have thought you could put a little more air pressure on it, didn't it?
No, it wouldn't budge. He almost got fired for sending that silverware through the tube. You wasn't supposed to do that. Nothing but currency and paper. So I can tell you a little bit about those vacuum tubes. What else is going on? Who is Lee DeForest?
He was an American inventor with over 180 patents to his credit. He named himself the father of radio with this famous quote, "I discovered an invisible empire on the air, imagine intangible yet solid as granite." But he was a quack, a fake. He didn't deserve credit for radio. He didn't deserve credit for a whole lot of things, but they used him. RCA used him to beat Edwin Armstrong out of some of his patents. But he's a guy that worked with vacuum tubes, the kind that light up and
okay, yeah.
And
they don't use anymore.
Well, they use them for radar.
Yeah.
Them are big, high power transmitter tubes. Of course, they're a lot different, and they're made for business. They'll run 1 million watts.
Right.
Well, not just one, but they stack them.
Well, we used to have an old Philco radio that was run by a 6-volt car battery.
It had to have something beside the 6-volt car battery.
Huh?
It had to have something beside the 6-volt.
A Philco radio? It was set up to run off a 6-volt car battery.
It didn't have a B battery, a 87-volt, 67-volt battery. It'd have a vibrator in it like the car radios.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, they used.
It was built to run off a 6-volt battery.
Well, it was same as a car radio then.
Huh?
The same as a car radio.
Yeah.
Well, the first ones that they built, you had to have a battery. You had to have a 6-volt big battery to light up the filaments, make the tubes light up, and then you had a B battery, 67.5 volts, and they used it for the plate supply in the tubes.
Right.
And then when they got to making them work in cars, what they done was took a little buzzer, they called it a vibrator, a little buzzer, and it turned that, you can't build DC up. You can now using transistors and switching, but anyway, at that time, they needed high voltage on the plate of the tubes, and it wasn't, I mean, they wanted to do it off the car, so what they did was use this little buzzer so that they got an on-off DC, and they run that through a transformer and got it up about 150 volts. And then they converted it back to DC and put it on the plates of the tubes, and that's the way they done it all with batteries.
Right.
But it's not, if you could ever make a transformer, and it's impossible, but if you could ever make a transformer that you could just hook a 6-volt DC to one side and then get a DC out the other side, but if you hook DC to a transformer, it just burns it up.
Right.
I know that's useless information too. We're just full of it today.
Well, it's made an awful lot natural, an awful lot of strides in moving information since I was a young man. We used to it. It's pretty quick. We could pick up Adolf Hitler speaking in Berlin, pretty quick. It was almost, I won't say it was instantaneous, but it was almost.
Well, did you know what he was saying?
He was saying, Achtung, Dummkopf, give it, alles kaputt.
Oh, is that what he said?
No, that's what we told him. We called him a dummy, that everything, we might as well give it up. Everything was over.
Well, the thing about it is, he fooled enough people to get a lot of people killed.
Right, yeah. Yeah, an awful lot of people. But you know who killed most people in the world, don't you?
Mao, I guess.
Probably Mao Zedong.
And Stalin was second.
Yeah. Stalin was second with about 69 million.
Was it that many?
Yeah.
I thought it was something 20 or 30 million.
I think they finally totaled up on all the
He just couldn't make enough stuff under the communist system to feed them, so he just let them starve to death.
That's what you do, yeah.
If they tried to get out where they could get something to eat, he had them shot.
Right, yeah.
You stay in there and starve.
Do you know Saddam Hussein was killing Kurds and dissidents against him at the rate of about 300 a day, did you?
Is what?
About 300 a day. That's what Saddam Hussein was killing his opposition.
Well, no, but he's a good man, they say.
No,
He didn't have no weapons of
He
mass
had
destruction.
no weapons of mass destruction, even though he killed 5,000 Kurds with chemical weapons, you know.
Well, you don't know what to do if you're over there. Whenever Gaddafi saw what happened to, what's his name, Hussein, he straightened up and done away with his nuclear ambitions and paid up over the Lockerbie thing, and they still went over and murdered him.
Gaddafi's nuclear, all of his nuclear material is over here at Oak Ridge, about, 20 miles from here.
Done all that, and we rewarded him by letting them take him out and kill him.
Yeah.
And that there Assad feller, he just shot his people and let him go.
Right, yeah. We'd probably give him the Medal of Peace.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
He'd probably share it with our dear ruler.
Right, probably. He could share that, and Obama got.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, the first year he was in office, I don't know what he did to promote peace, you know, but he got the Nobel Prize for peace.
Hadn't done nothing yet either, had he?
Yeah.
He's the only man I ever saw got elected and never had done nothing, got a peace prize and still hadn't done nothing. I believe it's starting to, as his favorite minister would say, I think it's a coming home to roost on him now.
I believe it's a little bit of it, you know. He still feels that all he's got to do
And make a speech.
Just make a speech and tell it with different words, and everything come out okay.
I have never understood why everybody brags on his speech-making abilities.
I don't think he delivers.
He's a terrible speaker.
I think so.
Now, Bill Clinton, like him or not, he can do an interesting speech on a boring subject, and you'd enjoy listening to him, whether you liked him or not.
Right, yeah.
But this guy here, I mean, he will never finish a sentence without an in the middle, where he pauses to think of what all he's going to do, so he don't commit to anything.
Where he can read the teleprompter.
Well, he's doing it so he can make sure he's got enough weasel words in there.
Right.
So, I mean, he wasn't told directly that his website wasn't going to work. You know, he wasn't told directly that his website wasn't going to work. Now, if he just said he hadn't been told his website didn't work, and somebody came up and said, "But we told you," he can say, "Well, I wasn't told directly."
Right. Yeah, he's
master politician, I guess.
He is. He's something else.
He's our first affirmative action president.
Right. Yeah. And you know, the problem with his signature legislation, Obamacare, is that he is choosing to enforce or not enforce whatever sections of it he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought his job was to execute and to put into effect the laws passed by Congress, not to be selective of which laws he wants to.
Well, I don't understand why anybody would go along with any sort of immigration reform. I think we need to do something, but I don't see why anybody would fall into that. I mean, they don't even enforce the laws they've got now. If you get some sort of a comprehensive immigration reform passed, they're just simply going to ignore the part that you want and do what they want.
Right.
There ain't no use in passing laws if there's no binding on the enforcement side.
Right.
In
fact, he has even sued the states who have tried to enforce the laws that are on the books.
Yeah.
And,
that's the whole point. What's the use in making new laws? They don't enforce these. If you get a reasonable immigration thing started, they're just going to ignore the part that makes it reasonable.
Did you hear they just passed a law today forbidding people to carry guns on the school ground?
Where at?
Up in where Sandy Hook was.
Well, they already had that, didn't they?
I don't know. But this is a stronger law.
Well, that makes it better, because the laws wasn't strong enough before. I mean, if it had a strong law, I thought it was against the law to murder people anyway.
What?
I thought it was already against the law to murder people.
Well, I thought so too, yeah.
Looks like they just enforce that law. Whenever they enforce all the laws against murder, we won't have this problem.
Yeah. You know, to do gun legislation as a result of what's happening is almost like blaming the rope if somebody gets hung.
Yeah.
You have to outlaw ropes.
They already outlawed cookers, didn't they?
Right, yeah.
I got something I want to show you.
Okay.
I can get to it.
He's got his Christmas tree in the bag, folks.
I've got my Christmas present.
Okay.
My blanket.
All right. How about
Is that pretty?
That didn't come from Kentucky, did it?
Yes, sir, it did.
How about that?
Merry Christmas to me.
That's pretty.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
Right.
And that was our Christmas show we just done.
Is that our Christmas show?
That was my birthday present, but
Okay.
I'm using it for a Christmas
Right,
prop.
okay.
We just done our Christmas show.
Right.
What do you think about that deal up there? Did you hear what the judge done up in the Detroit bankruptcy trial?
They won.
You hear what the judge done on the Detroit bankruptcy trial?
No, what?
He ruled that pensions were not exempt from the bankruptcy law,
Right.
which just destroyed them people. I wonder who this could be.
So you think he?
Hello? Hey, I'm on television. Anything wrong? Okay, see.
All right, now you talking about? He's talking about pensions that the government has funded.
Talking about what?
Pensions that the government has
Yeah.
funded.
Well, the ones that they promised there at
Yeah.
the city of Detroit.
Right.
You need to move over in the picture or
Huh?
resign from the...
Well, I don't know.
Okay,
I
that'll do.
sound just as good whether I'm in the picture or not.
Yeah, but it just looks a lot better to have you here with us.
But so you told me that's a contractual situation you find there. So the judge, it says that the bankruptcy negates probably those contractual pensions.
Yep. So they have to get in the same line that all the other creditors are
right,
in.
okay.
And that ain't the way they done Chrysler and Chevrolet, I mean General Motors and them guys. They paid them union guys off first
Right.
with their money and then let everybody else do without. Although the people that had been supplying parts to General Motors on the credit, they had the first claim, and the people that had money invested that had loaned them money to get over the hump, they had first claim, but they went around the law and gave the pensions preference,
Right.
fully funded the pensions
Right.
out of the free money from the
Right.
government, and then put everybody else in line for what was left.
Right. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, more votes that way. If you're gonna buy votes, you gotta buy votes. You can't fool around.
You're going to buy a bushel for you, might as well buy a truckload, you
Yeah.
know. And,
If you're gonna buy it with somebody else's money, you need to get all you can get out of it too.
That's that right. But you know, it does, you know, it's not unreasonable what they're doing as far as government funded pensions are concerned. But you know, the federal government is just up there salivating at all the money that's in pension funds throughout this country. And there are all kind of moves that the government could go in and take a one-time amount from each pension fund and apply it to their spending again, you know.
Yeah,
Probably wouldn't be so bad if applied it to the national debt, not the deficit, but the debt.
that ain't gonna happen.
Let me tell you what I got.
We're popular tonight, ain't we?
Oh yeah, we are. And
Have to get us a secretary to take these calls while we're stars.
hey, yeah, yes,
Supper ready?
yeah, okay, yeah. I'm on TV show right now, so I'll get back with you tomorrow then. Okay, see ya.
This is a high class show, Bob.
Telling me. Telling you, well, where the ducks and the chickens is what I want to know.
You know, I tell you what, we know where the goats is at.
No, I don't.
They're out.
I know where they're supposed to be.
They're out.
I know where they're supposed to be. I don't necessarily know where they are, you know. And,
Well, I got mine fenced off of the porch. The only thing I'm worried about.
Well, mine, I fenced
Look like
mine-
I'm going to have to fence
I
the whole
fenced-
yard.
I fenced mine out of my yard and everything, but somehow or another they find some way to circumvent that, you know.
They still climbing up on the balcony?
They were up on there this morning. I worked on that. They may be up there again, but I worked on keeping them off from the deck, up to the top deck.
Yeah. Let's see.
You know, back to the pension plans, you know, it's getting to the point that people are afraid to work because they can make more money not working, and people are going to be afraid to save because if you have a pool of cash or if you have any reservoir of money, then the government is always working to somehow get into that and make it theirs rather than the individuals. And so it's a very self-defeating climate that we have for people here that want to acquire and to make any money.
Well, I don't think you'll ever outsmart politicians, because there's too many people trying to figure out how to crook everybody else. Look here, see this?
Yeah.
That's a dam over there in
Yeah.
Greece or somewhere. You see them little dots there on the wall?
Right. What are they?
Goats.
How about that? What are they doing, eating the moss off of the...
Yeah, and they're licking it and getting salt and stuff, I reckon.
What dam is that? Did it say?
Let's see, that's it's a national park in northern Italy.
Where?
It's a national park in northern Italy.
Oh, how about that?
They ain't just as unconcerned as they can be.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's, what, a half mile down to the bottom? And they just come up there and then they walk on out through yonder and get off and go back down the road.
Right. Well, maybe we ought to send our goat patrol over there. Think we could get a picture of that and send it to the sheriff's department.
Yeah, we could, I guess.
Yeah.
They may outlaw goats then.
Huh?
Might outlaw goats if you prove you can't fence them.
Oh no, they probably wouldn't outlaw the goats. They just outlaw dams.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Now they outlaw, make it illegal for a goat to climb a wall
sure.
and prosecute the goat.
Right. Yeah. And prosecute whoever owned the goat. Yeah. And but that's something else, isn't it?
Gran Paradiso National Park in northern Italy, and have recently started climbing the dam, much to the amazement of local park officials.
Why?
Locals. Park officials quickly figured out that they were in fact grazing, licking the old stones for their salts and minerals.
Right.
Pretty good. You been taking up any money up to a place to feed the people, the hungry people for Christmas? Have you got a place up there collecting food or anything?
No, I really haven't. I've been looking for somebody to make a donation to feed me for Christmas.
You're just cold-hearted then, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm cold-hearted. Call me.
You know, I'll tell you something funny.
Scrooge McAndrews.
I'm just wondering if they're going to have any of them UT students protesting because they're not paying an adequate wage to them poor old people working down at McDonald's and Walmart. And I just heard today that UT had just raised the
they raised
workers up.
$283,000.
But they just went up to $9 and something.
Yeah,
They're just a little over minimum wage.
Yeah, I know that.
And them people been protesting $15 at McDonald's.
Right, yeah. So, they better be thankful they got a job.
Yeah.
You know, what's happening now is what I've been forecasting all summer long, that we were going to have an Obama winter. And that's what we're having.
What's an Obama winter?
You just wait till the report comes out as far as December's concerned, and January and February, and you're going to see an awful lot of disturbing news as far as our economy is concerned.
I figured it's where he had slowed the rising of the seas and rolled back the temperatures.
Yeah, we'll be able to do that, you know. Just
Well, he's already done it, I reckon.
Just by command,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, we're experiencing what I call an Obama winter. And things I think are going to really culminate here in the latter part, well, this month and 2014 is going to be particularly bad.
Well, just print some more money.
Well, they do that. They're already printing $80 billion a month.
People don't understand that besides the fact that he definitely did raise the taxes on the poor people, although he would deny that, they don't understand that the worst tax that he can put on poor people is inflation, printing worthless money, and although the inflation rate, the way they're figuring it, is not going up, they're not figuring food, gasoline, the energy, anything you really have to have.
No.
They say that if we were computing the inflation rate the same as we did before 1980, it would be around 9%.
Probably about right.
That means that you've got a 9% tax on everything you make, because your money is worth 9% less every year.
Right. That's true.
And if you can't, I mean, look at it this way. Back 5 years ago, 6 years ago, gas was $1 and something a gallon, and chicken feed was about half what it is now, and meat was a third what it is now.
Right.
And if that ain't hurting poor people, I mean, they don't own no cars and eat none.
Right. Well, that's true. You know, I buy some feed, feed my chickens and feed my goats, and
If you'd feed them a little more, they'd stay at home, maybe.
right. We take you get a bag of scratch feed for $11.
Well, I can remember paying $6, I believe.
I paid.
I mean, a whole lot less than that years ago.
5 or 6, you know, not too long ago. Either.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
when we had chickens, I remember getting it for $6 and something,
Yeah.
I think. At that Grantsburg.
Right. But inflation hurts the poor person. People on fixed income, especially people who are drawing SSI, people who are drawing Social Security, people who are drawing disability. You know, things keep going up, but they're the way they compute it, they don't get any more computed into their income. And I think, like next year, forecast as far as mine's concerned, maybe I might get 18 to the $25 increase.
I'll probably get about $2. You know, they sent me a letter on my Social Security and said, because I worked last year, I got a raise.
Really?
And they owed me $600.
Right. They haven't sent it yet, have they?
No, they said they was going to.
Okay.
Checks in the mail.
The checks in the mail. Makes you feel good that way.
I thought they must have really felt, they saw how much I was making and they felt sorry for me.
Well, you know, I have to send in Social Security every year, and they turn around and send it back to me.
Well, most of my income has always been rental income. I don't get a whole lot of Social Security because you don't pay Social Security on rental income.
Right.
They say it's unearned. They need to get out there and deal with some of them people. They'll know how earned it is.
Yeah, exactly right. Try to collect money.
Yeah. Try to fix what they tear up. Yeah, and try to cover up what they've thrown over the bank.
Right. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of inequities in this country, but if they would leave it alone the law of supply and demand, laissez-faire, they leave business alone, let business operate with a minimal of supervision. Even the stock market somewhat may be overregulated in some areas.
Well, they've got banks now. They regulate all sorts of common sense out of banks. Them old bankers, them old hometown bankers used to know who they belonged to and who they couldn't. Now, there ain't no way that you can use good judgment. You go by the book, and you may go bankrupt going by the book.
Right. Yeah, that's true. No, there's very little local underwriting for as making loans.
You know what we ain't done? We ain't told them about Digger's propane. We're over there warming with Digger's propane.
Right, that's what we're sitting about.
562-5444, right in the middle of the road in Sawmill Hollow. We ain't talking about Digger, and we ain't talking about Vital Care. That's in case you ate too much Christmas food,
right,
and Thanksgiving food, and leftovers from 2 weeks ago food, and rotten tomato juice.
Yeah, and all them sorts of good things, you know.
562-9370 if you need to ride an ambulance. And we ain't talking about Dixie Concrete, the hardest concrete known to man, and it'll even set up in December.
Right.
562-5656.
Right.
And Napa. Napa's not Napa Valley now, not the winery.
No, we ain't drinking no wine tonight.
We're talking about the best place to go for your auto parts and all sorts of mechanical parts that you might need. 562-9406.
9426.
9406. You got it wrote down right there.
Okay. So we were close. Would have got somebody on that.
Yeah, they could maybe correct you if you got the wrong number.
We could have spread the word about Napa, you know, whoever we called.
There was this restaurant went in somewhere. Must have just went in and stayed a month and went out of business. It's called the Raggedy Hobo.
The what?
Raggedy Hobo.
Okay.
And it was listed, had a 562-0781 was the phone number. And that got on the mailing list, and I'd get people call me. I mean, I had that phone number at home. I'd get people call me wanting to sell me restaurant supplies and stuff. And I'd tell them, look, I don't buy restaurant supplies. I ain't got no use for restaurant. This is Raggedy Hobo? No, this is not the Raggedy Hobo. Well, it says it's a Raggedy Hobo. I said it don't say it on my bill.
Right. That meant something to people that was of interest to me when we were talking about concrete. It made me think about it. This fella had this garden tractor, and his tires were in pretty bad repair, and they wanted right at $100 a piece for the tires. So he took and drilled a hole in them, and then took his saw and sawed out about a 2-inch hole on top of each of his rear tires. And he filled them full of cement, wet cement, and let it set up.
Yeah.
Okay. And he said he had been using it for 2 years.
In what, a tractor?
Yeah, on a garden tractor.
Okay.
And he said it had actually better traction because
I believe that.
The weight of the cement.
Yeah.
He said there was no discernible difference at low speeds. It did have a little bit of a high-speed bounce.
Yeah.
But it said for doing garden work and doing mowing and things like that, and they showed pictures of him, and he just filled those tires full of cement.
Yeah.
And said he'd been using them 3 or 4 years, and it saved him $100 a tire.
Yeah, and it kept people from carrying his lawnmower off too.
Yeah, I guarantee you,
I'd say that makes sense. You could do that. It could be hard to do it on the highway use.
Well,
so
yeah, you wouldn't want to hardly do it.
Well, you know, they use them there. They fill them things half full of that there salt water or antifreeze or whatever it is for weight.
Right, yeah.
And they don't seem to bounce.
No. Well, concrete has very little give. But I was down at the grocery store last night, and just like you, I was admiring that floor in Food City. So, folks, if you want to get some idea of what comes out of Dixie concrete, you go down to Food City and look at the floor. That's Dixie concrete under your feet.
Well, Bob, here's your opportunity in the last few minutes to just give me your honest opinion on something. Anybody you want to chew out or work over? Or
Well, I don't know what I have an honest opinion.
well, you got any dishonest opinion? Is there anything going on you might want to?
You do know that the Christmas parade's coming up this weekend on Saturday, I believe, on the 7th, and that's Saturday.
Where if a man get a truck in that parade?
A what?
Where if a man get a truck in that parade?
I don't know. I'm going to try. We're working on it.
Does it run?
Yeah, well, all it needs is a battery in it, supposedly, I think.
It's been sitting up there for
well,
2 years.
No, it's been sitting up there about 6 months,
Yeah.
8 months, something like that. So we want to see if we can't get that truck in the Christmas parade.
Well, I just about promise you I won't be there.
Oh.
If I am, it'll be unintentionally.
Right.
I don't go to them
You're
parades.
not gonna ride in the truck?
No, I ain't going to them parades. Especially if you're driving the truck.
Right.
I get slung off.
What?
Feller get slung off.
Might do that. You just might do. Other than that, we've got right many items for sale at my place, and so have you. I got some Christmas trees, and I've got some Christmas tree ointments, and I've got a lot of things that would make good Christmas presents. So you ought to check by and see what all I got.
And you out there, you just keep in mind, if you buy your wife a new roof for Christmas, she'll thank you next summer.
Yes, you will.
All year long.
Right, and every time it rains.
And if you can't get to it for a while, you can go up to Bob's and buy a few empty pots and stuff to set around while you're working on the roof.
I got enough pots, yeah.
I guess that's about what we'll do for today then. Thank you everybody for watching this
foolishness. See you when?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on WLAF Channel 12, as well as here on UGG TV. So folks, you have a great afternoon.
Happy trade.